of course, right? And we could judge them for it, but we can't write them off for it. We can't convict them for it. We could judge, because that's what we're supposed to do as brothers, but we can't sentence them for it. Because if you put any of us in the same shoes, you would do the masculine thing. So
welcome to Ask a Wise Guy, the podcast where we take today's top stories, break them down, and give you the insight you need. Augustus V is here to dive into the headlines, answer the questions that matter, and provide the wisdom you won't find anywhere else. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this episode, and share it with friends who need to hear it. Now, back to the show.
alright, man, peace. Now, if you know that intro, I call you brother. But I have my coffee for this one. I have my coffee for most of them. But this one's extra hot, because the reason that God loves coffee is because he brews. And I'm about to brew today. So let's get into it. The Tates. You guys know how I like to orate, how I like to present. I don't like making people wait for the big picture, for the point. And it's not to appease the ADDs. It's just to give a sense of direction. You know, men, we're straight to the point beings. You know, and the more masculine we are, the more straight to the point we want to get. You know, we don't. You know, if we really had it our way, we would choose to learn by perhaps example or by action. You know, by hands-on training. That's the masculine way to teach. That's the masculine way to learn. But the second option is through philosophy, is through mental teaching, through oratorship, through social, or you can say verbal lesson. And that's what we're doing here today. That's how I teach when I can't teach hands-on. But at the same time, we're men here, see. So I choose to teach in the masculine fashion, and that's to kick the door open, to kick the door down with the message, and then to kind of unroll the carpet, if you will, for the rest of the presentation. So I'm gonna kick the door down. The Tates, this case, this is an issue of hypermasculinity. And the Tates are definitely what we would call hypermasculine. Alright? That's me kicking the door down. And that's what this case is all about. It's another attack on hypermasculinity. See? Now, are the Tates flawed? As we will cover, yes, they are flawed. They're not perfect. But is flaw bad? Not necessarily. Flaw isn't necessarily a deal killer. It shouldn't be a deal killer. For women, it's a deal killer, right? But we're men here, so that shouldn't kill one's observation, one's tolerance for a man's presence, just for him to have flaw. In all essence, if you're rational, if you're a rational thinker, which you should be if you're on this channel, you understand that a little bit of everything is going to have a takeaway. You know, there's even takeaways with living for God. That's a different topic, and that's a whole different world. But if you live for God, you should know, oh yeah, there's takeaways for living for God. What are the takeaways? You get to live with reward. You get to live with your consciousness intact, with your nature intact. But you can't always do what you want to do, see? And for those that actually are used to living for the Lord, you know, you hardly ever get to do what you want to do, living for God, see? But there's a point where you realize in the living for God that who cares what we actually want to do? We actually don't truly know what we want to do until we try everything out. But we don't want to be like the deviants of this world, trying everything out now, do we? We surely don't. So when you get down to it, the best way to live is according to what God says, according to what He says to do, according to what someone else has given you as a blueprint for how you should live your life. See? And that requires the giving of a takeaway, living with the takeaway to consider. See? I'm sorry, not takeaway, trade-off. That's the term I'm trying to reference. Trade-off, not takeaway. Living for God has trade-offs. Everything in life has trade-offs. So the trade-off is you don't always get to do what you want to do, and you hardly ever get to do what you want to do, but it's for the sake of being in your full nature, in your natural not habitat, but your natural existence, existing in your natural state, the state that you were intended to live in. That's the whole objective, that's the whole goal, see? But once again, the trade-off is you can't do what you want to do. So the Tates, they're flawed. That's the trade-off. For what? For them being masculine figures for us to observe, for us to really learn from, see, and to reciprocate too. So to reciprocate too also, see, because people at that level, they act like they don't care what you have to say, and that's a good shield. But at the end of the day, hey, there's an algorithm to appease, and a lot of these guys, they get up early in the morning to figure out how to crack that algorithm. And who makes the algorithm? Us, the people, the collective, the mob, see? That's who creates the algorithm. The machines create the algorithm also, but it's based on what we click like on and what we click dislike on, see? They had to program us for us to like it in the first place, but nevertheless, we chose to like it. So it's not just what we observe from these guys. It's what we reciprocate also, and that's the whole objective for us listening to them in the first place. For us observing them and reciprocating in the first place. See, but the trade-off is that they're flawed. Now let's get into the flaws. The flaws in our lessons is the purpose for this case to begin with. this case, I'm not really going to get into the case. If you were looking for a video where someone breaks down the case, this isn't that. If you're familiar with this channel, you know that I'm a philosopher, so I philosophize things. I'm not here to do the gossip, chatty patty thing. I'm not even here to preach to you. I'm a philosopher. I'm here to philosophize things for the sake of observation, for the sake of true personal development, for us to observe these things and to say, you know what, I didn't really see it that way. I'm glad that I had a brother to break this down and give his perspective of this to me today. See, so let's get into it. The case. Once more, we're not going to break down the case, but I do want to explain something that the case reveals to us. It reveals a lot of the flaw that really is a part of the initiation, that the battle, the struggle between the Tates and their masculinity as a whole. Now, mind you, we're talking about hyper masculinity and the Tates' role in this, right? But we have to ask ourselves, what is hyper masculinity? And we will get to that. But this case is about decisions that the Tates made when they were younger, and by their words were dumber. See, I don't think they agree completely with everything that they did back when they did it, but if they had to, would they do it again? I believe absolutely yes. If they could get away with it, of course, right? And we could judge them for it, but we can't write them off for it. We can't convict them for it. We could judge, because that's what we're supposed to do as brothers, but we can't sentence them for it. Because if you put any of us in the same shoes, you would do the masculine thing, see. But the only issue that I would say is that there were flaws. There were things that they did that may not have been so masculine, see. And I don't want to skip over that. Now, shout out to Minister Jap for breaking down those flaws of the Tates. Now, if you know anything about Minister Jap, you already know what's coming next. But I have to go here. See, because I am a gentleman, I am a philosopher, but the gentleman is originally, he's a tough guy. He's not this sweetheart that opens the door for every woman that's walking into a building, right? The original gentleman, the gentleman that the class of gentlemen that I fall under, the classic gentleman, man, he'll cut you, man. He'll cut you if you overstep, because he understands the role of the protector. See, he understands the role of the producer, the man in this world. He's needed. See, and when he's needed, he has things that other people want. Things that mean a lot to him. Things that has his name, not just his brand, his legacy, his children and his children's state of living backed behind it. See? So, I'm a gentleman, but I could go there. So when we talk about jab, guys, if you know me, don't laugh. If you personally know me, don't laugh when you hear me say this. But it appears that Andrew and Tristan Tate, at some point in their past, they weren't knee deep, they weren't waist deep, but they were dipping their toe into the ism. Yeah. Don't laugh. If you know me and you know what I'm talking about, I know you're laughing, but don't laugh, because this is a big deal. The Tates, they were trying to get into that lifestyle, man. They were trying to get into the ism. They were trying to get into the game, as some may call it. See, because around that time when they were doing the things that they're being accused of, and in some cases falsely accused for, the ism was being highly promoted throughout the street world and the square world. The streets and the square world was hearing nothing but ism this, ism that. Pimp my ride, pimp my crib, pimp everything. See, so it was not only was it being made to believe that it was okay, but it was being made to believe that it was cool. And see, it's one thing to okay something, to say that there's nothing wrong with this thing, but it's an entirely different game to say that something is cool, that this is what you want to do. See, so they kind of fell for that lie, and hey, it was their way of escaping the money matrix, the financial matrix. See, it allowed them to become their own men. But granted, they were battling with their own masculinity. Now, here's where the effeminacy came in, where the lack of masculine character came into play. Because even though they were making a name for themselves, even though they were going out of their way, being strategic in the marketplace, the financial marketplace of their sector, right? They were still doing things that weren't so masculine. What do I mean when I say this? Once again, shout out to Minister Jap for breaking this down. If you want more info on their past, look up Minister Jap on the Tates, and he does an amazing breakdown on what they did. But just in short, what they would do is they would pretty much manage models, which we would call OnlyFans models today, and they did this before OnlyFans. So it was, kind of those sex chat sites, right? And people, whether it was subscriptions or they would just pay on the spot. They would have the girls to do their naughty little stuff on cam, and what would happen is, in the background, Andrew and Tristan, they would kind of do the chat bot thing. They'll kind of chat to the guys that's watching the girls, and they would answer and respond to these guys as if the girls are actually chatting them. And they knew exactly what these guys, these lonely boys, these lonely older males, can't call them men because of the activity that they're doing, but they're older and they're males, young males, older males alike, not men. They're not acting like men. See, so the Tates were preying on this. See, they were preying on these insecurities and whims and effeminacies, really, that these males, older and younger alike, were struggling with. And really, it wasn't really a struggle. It was a full-on decision. But nevertheless, that's how these guys made their money. They would chat with these guys as if they were the girls that these guys were watching, and they'll get them to get into their pockets, and as they say in the ism, get them to break themselves, and that they would empty their pockets for these girls. So apparently, that's where the Tates made their first fortune. From there, they were able to pivot. Andrew, he ended up getting into boxing. Tristan, he ended up getting into his different endeavors. And that's pretty much how they made a name for themselves. And in all essence, that's where all of these false allegations are coming from. See, and that's why, really, in all essence, that's the reason, that's the excuse for the attack on the Tates, because in all essence, now we're getting into the hypermasculinity issue. When you tell the truth and you're masculine, they're gonna find a way to come at you. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you see that there's a truth, a necessary truth, not just the weather, right? Not just how you feel about a specific person or whatever. No, a truth that needs to be said. See, these type of people, yes, something should be done about these type of people. That stuff. See, when you speak on those things and you do it truthfully, necessary truth, and you're masculine, they're gonna find a way to come at you. And the newest tool is pretty slick. It's pretty slick, because even masculine males, I won't say men just yet, masculine males are willing to fight this fight. Not on the side of hypermasculinity. They're willing to fight the fight of the system to come against those that speak the truth and are masculine. And the tool that they use to attack these masculine truth tellers, the very few that there are left today, the tool that they use is the title hypermasculinity. If you could slap that label on top of anything, even what we would believe to be men will stand up and swarm to that fight. See, because what that attacks is the man. Now we're getting back to the man, right? That attacks the man's inclination to protect. See? But the modern man can't follow inclinations anymore. It can't just be a instinct anymore. Every single decision you make as a man today has to be conscious. You have to be fully aware of what's going on before you act today. Gone are the days where you could see a man slapping a woman or doing anything to a woman that would originally be unacceptable, and then you could just jump in there at her rescue. Why? Because if she called the cops, guess who's going to jail? You. And guess who's not going to jail? The assaulter. See? As crazy as that sounds, that's what's going on. That's the name of the game. Because the true masculine one wasn't the one assaulting the girl. The masculine one was the one that was stepping in to the rescue. So he has to go to jail. See, it is almost spiritual. This attack on the man is almost spiritual. Because why would all of these people in these same situations have the same actions, have the same responses, when logically speaking, they should be doing something else? They should be doing the right thing, siding with the rescuer, right? See. So back on the Tates and hypermasculinity, that title was coined to cater to the man, the actual masculine man, and his inclinations, his instincts, God-given instincts. These instincts come from God to protect. See, when a man hears hypermasculinity and he understands what people mean by it today, it irks him. You're secular, you're common man, right? The one that's still primal, the one that still doesn't understand about what's going on, right? And there's nothing wrong with primal, but you have to be social today. You have to be a conscious man. When he hears the unconscious man, the primal man, when he hears hypermasculinity, it irks him, as it originally should, as it originally should, right? It should irk the man until that man becomes conscious to the fact that the concept of hypermasculinity is just another tool. So give me a moment to cook. Give me a moment to cook. So I want to talk about hypermasculinity. Now, what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be masculine? I'm going to give you guys a moment to just ponder on that one. What does it mean? What does it mean to be a man? You could even throw it in the comments if you like. What does it mean? Is it how much you could bench press? Is it how you do in the ring? Is it how you do in the sack with your significant other? Is it your T levels? See? Or your S cells, as they say in Dragon Ball Z. what is it? What is it? What is it that makes you a man? What is masculinity? See. Here's another one. You don't have to answer this one. But does masculinity alone make you a man? If you need more time, you can pause this and then think on your answer and then type it in. But if not, here we go. The simple but deep definition of the man is simply not prototype. It's a sample of the Most High God. That's what the man is. He's a representation of the Most High God. That's what the man is. The man is a representation of the Most High God. Now, this is easier to understand when you understand the Most High God, right? If you're not big on the scriptures, if you haven't spent a lot of your life caring about God and the things of God, that may be harder for you to grasp. But for those that spent a good deal of their life, a good season or seasons, just analyzing and studying God, that should make sense to you, unless you haven't spent too much time analyzing the man. So you gotta spend time studying both. But the man is a sample of the Most High God. He's a representation, almost an ambassador. I would say an ambassador. Paul calls us ambassadors with Christ. So if we're ambassadors with Christ, ambassadors of who? Ambassadors of God. If we're not ambassadors of Christ. See, ambassadors of means we're representing Christ. But if we're ambassadors with Christ, joint heirs with Christ, that means that we're representing the Most High God all together alongside Christ. See? So, that's a lot. That's saying a lot right there. But that's why I said it the way I said it for a reason. It's a simple but deep definition. The man is not something to play with. For someone to say I'm a man, you're saying a lot right there. This is life or death. And if you go back on what you say after you said you're a man, and what you said before, it can mean your life. But as a man, you should understand that that's what that means, that's what you're saying. You're staking your life on this. You're staking your children's life on this. You're staking your children's life on what the heck it is you're about to say next. See? And that kind of responsibility is terrifying to the modern man. Terrifying. So for the men that get it, they don't even talk about it anymore. It's not worth talking about. No one else is gonna get it. That's why the old timers, they just walk right by us. Because their first inclination, their first idea, their first thought is that, yeah, there's no way this youngster even could sit at the table. He hasn't done anything masculine and he doesn't have a masculine vein in his build. Look at that kid, his stomach's bigger than mine. What's his excuse? I'm 3 times his age, his stomach's bigger than mine. What's his excuse? It's not even worth talking to us. See? But the beautiful thing is, when you get it and you come across an old timer, they can sense there is something different about you. So that's a beautiful thing to see also. But the man, when you tap into this, you actually feel the connection between you and the Most High God. See? And you get used to it over a while. You start to wonder how someone could be an atheist, how it's possible. But that's the easy answer. It's just, it starts with a disconnection from God. So, another definition that you could take with you is a man is simply a male that has reached a point in his life where he only needs water, food, and air. And he doesn't need too much of either of those. Another definition, I like this one. He's someone that says what he does and does what he says. He's an oak tree. He stands even when it's not beneficial to him. He still stands. See? And his strength doesn't come from reaching out on the surface. His strength comes from digging below the surface, because he's an oak tree. And the more information, because that's all roots do, they spread throughout the ground seeking for information, collecting data, turning it into information, which is computed eventually in the form of nutrients. See? It becomes nutrients. The more one does that, the stronger the foundation. See? So, the deeper a male goes into his roots, the stronger his masculinity, the more of a man he becomes. See? You guys see why I don't care about YouTube anymore? YouTube doesn't deserve this. But I got a couple of you guys that still watch my videos, so, this is for you. But when you get down to it, that's what it means to be a man. Now, masculinity is something that can make you a man. But masculinity is just a form of energy. It's masculine energy. See? So masculinity alone doesn't make you a man. This is how we got into this issue in the first place. See, all those Western movies, the Clint Eastwoods, the James Bonds, these guys were all considered to be the pinnacle of the man, right? They were considered to be the pinnacle, the height of the man. Once you reach that level of masculinity, you couldn't be more of a man. See? But the reality behind all those characters in real life is that they're short-tempered, not reasonably short-tempered. They're short-tempered out of a lack of self-control. They haven't healed past their past traumas. All it takes is just the right combination of words, and it will trigger one of them into a Ultra K, MK Ultra mindset, really programming, really hypnosis programming that will turn them into a Manchurian candidate at the drop of a dime. I've seen it with people that I know. See? And I had to, me and my brothers, we had to kick them out of the man room. They lost their seat at the man table with us. See? Seen this happen a number of times. Now when me and my brothers talk, and sometimes we come across an issue and say, hey, you remember this guy that turned into a Manchurian candidate? Yeah, this guy from back in the day, remember him? Yeah, he did the same thing. Nah. And as time goes by, we're starting to see more people fall under this category. See? It's how we got into this issue in the first place. The James Bond guy, the Clint Eastwood guy, the Westerns, the Cowboys, the Jason Stathams, the Jason Bournes, right? Even the John Wicks, which is it's a whole different world there, because the story actually follows the Matrix, so I won't use John Wick, but you can say the John Wicks if that's your action movie preference. They're all Hegelian. See, they follow the path of Hegel, the Hegelian dialectic, bringing the opposites together. So, what do I mean? You'll never catch a real killer guzzling down alcohol until he can't walk anymore. Why? He's a killer. He has to be on point. He needs every one of those 5 senses on point. See? But he's guzzling it down. Don't even have anything that he's sad about, but he's guzzling it down. Smoking everything he could find. Snorting everything he could find. Right? They feed this to you. And then what happens when someone catches him slipping? He takes out the whole crew. Doesn't get shot once. Maybe a little scar, so it can look somewhat realistic. Right? Realistic enough for it to be effective. Emotionally, that is. And then he goes home and then drinks himself to sleep. That's Hegelianism. It doesn't make sense. These are 2 different worlds. But they painted the picture to us that, hey, the strong macho man, this is what he does. And over time, our soldiers started falling for the lie. So now our soldiers that's actually living that life, now they need some serious therapy because they thought they could just go to the bottle and chase their demons away or run away from their demons, instead of just trying to figure out how they could live with what they've done, with what they're doing on the battlefield. And it has been done in ancient times. You gotta think about it. For our grandfathers, for our great-grands, for our great-great-grands in some cases, every man went into war because their father went into war. And their father told them what to do whenever they ended up in whatever mental situation. They told them how to handle it. They prepared them for it since they were a child. Did the child understand that the certain games his father was giving him was preparing him to become mentally strong for what he had to deal with as an adult? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he explained it to him. This is why I'm teaching you this, son. Maybe he didn't. But the bottle wasn't a consideration back then. Why? Hegelianism wasn't used as a social tool to soften the man yet. There wasn't an attack on the man yet. See? So, now we have it where everybody thinks this is what you do. This is what it means to be a man. This is what it means to be tough. This is the idea that's been painted. Hegelianism. The Hegelian dialectic. Don't forget it. And believe it or not, it is philosophy. But it's on the darker side. See, that's the path of nihilism. That's where nihilism comes in. That's where Marxism comes in, or social communism, or socialism. See, I should say and or, but you get the point. So that's the dark side of masculinity. That's the path that masculinity can go. See, the Hegel man, which isn't a man, the Hegelian man. Now there's another man that hasn't been considered. And I'm not going to say the true man, because you're either a man or you're not. But this is the world of the man, the other side of masculinity. The reason why masculinity alone doesn't make one a man is because we have women that are masculine. And enough women that are masculine to where a term could be coined as such. The man is the new woman. Never would our grandfathers would have even heard a saying as such. Never. Because masculinity was too strong within the men. But today, yeah, that term is very possible. It's very realistic that the man, the modern man, this Hegelian man, is the new woman. Emoting publicly. I'm talking tears. Guys with full beards crying, making presentations crying, being more romantic than their female counterpart, being the ones initiating the I love you in the relationship. See? Not saying there's anything wrong with crying or saying to your wife that you love her, right? But the magnitude that this is being done in, and the fact that it's being done more often than the women, yeah, there's been a role reversal. The man is the new woman. See? But like I said, this isn't the man. They want you to think that this is the man. These are just males, perpetrators. See? If there was a law against it, which there's not, a lot of these guys could be thrown into jail for perpetrating a man because they're just males. See? I would like for that law to get passed. You know, it'll make it easier to put things into perspective. But this is what we're looking at here. Masculinity doesn't make one a man. Masculinity is just masculine energy. That's all it is. It's just energy that has the nature of a man. And it's suitable when it comes from a man. But it's very tricky. You have to, as a man, as a modern man, I want you guys to catch this. You guys may have to break this video up in segments just so you could be fresh as you're hearing this and catch everything. But as a modern man, you have to be able to identify when you're dealing with a man or when you're just dealing with masculine energy. Because we have a lot of males walking around that aren't men, but they've mastered emitting masculine energy. And I'm gonna tell you something. If you're not a man, emitting masculine energy is gonna wear you out. And when you get home, you're gonna have to refuel, because what you just did was work. If you're not a man, emitting masculine energy will lead to burnout. Doing masculine things will lead to burnout. That's why our women suffer from burnout, and that's why the non-masculine males, or even some of the masculine males, you could say, they're coming across burnout. Men, we don't have burnout. We don't get burnout. This may be a bad example or not, but do you think Kratos comes across burnout as he's doing what he was born to do? To war. Do you think your great-great-great-grandfathers had burnout when they were fighting for their nation, for you, before you were born? Do you think they experienced burnout? That's where they said, I need a rest, I need to refuel from this. Our fathers were behind guns that weighed from half their weight to 3 times their weight. Behind those guns, laughing from their bellies. I'm talking gut-busting laughter. Behind guns, laughing, having the time of their lives. The man doesn't burn out from that. But I tell you who would. A woman behind that gun. A male that acts like a woman behind that gun. That's who will burn out. See? So as a man, as the modern man, you can't just be primal. It's not good enough to just be able to swing a hammer today. I'm telling you, you have to be witty enough. You have to have enough insight. You have to have brothers like myself that are philosophical and become philosophical yourself, so that you can identify when you're dealing with the man, which is masculine energy. See? And that's why masculinity alone does not make a man. Now, we've covered what masculinity is. Now, considering what masculinity is that toxic or not? See? And that term toxic, first of all, that's not a masculine term. It's not even a philosophical term. It's a loaded term. It's loaded with agenda. Whenever someone uses the term toxic, you better believe there's no wit behind this person's reasoning. There's no wit behind it. They didn't put any mental energy into how they would use the term. If someone could fart out of their mouth, that's the term you would hear. That's what it would sound like. Someone just saying toxic, that's what a fart out of the mouth would sound like. It's a loaded term. It has an agenda behind it. The agenda behind toxic, the term toxic, is also to come against the man. But it's not a good term to use. Reason why is because it's a relative term. It's not an objectionable term. See, problematic is a good term to use because you can actually trace it down with history. You could go into the origins of problematic people, problematic scenarios, problematic things. But toxic was a coined term, a woke term in all essence, that was coined with an agenda, meaning that it was created for this specific agenda, and once this specific agenda is over, the term is going to have no use. It's going to no longer have any use. See? But we have to consider this term. But before considering the term, we had to look at how this term doesn't hold up in court. It's not a real term. We had to cover that first. You have to discredit things that won't look good on your FICO. See? So the toxic masculinity, hyper masculinity, is masculinity in itself toxic? The answer is no. Masculinity in itself is not toxic. You could have quote unquote toxic people being masculine. But think about it. The people that use the term toxic masculinity are the ones misusing masculinity. The woke left, the woke women, the woke males that act like women. They're very masculine. But masculinity doesn't look good on them. It doesn't look right because they're not supposed to be masculine. They're supposed to be soft and kind. They're supposed to be feminine. But they're misusing masculinity. See? And as they're misusing masculinity, all they gotta do is slap a label onto the man and call him toxic. Now they're demeaning the man for rightfully using masculinity. You see how this is going back into going against God's will, going against nature. That's what this whole game is all about. Coming against those that are doing what they're naturally supposed to do. See how this ties into the Tates? Aside from their flaw, they're helping people. Aside from the Bitcoin issue and the crypto issue, they're helping people. Hey, if you've lost money investing into the Tates program, first of all, you didn't get the point behind what they've been teaching you. You didn't get the point. Investing into them is a clear sign that you've missed the point. The Tates talk about starting your own stuff. See? So for you to invest in them, you're supporting their brand, but you're not starting your own stuff. So aside from the crypto, hey, they're helping people. Aside from the allegations from their past, they're helping people. But this case, all the false accusations, is another attempt to slap on the title of hyper masculinity on them. See? So masculinity, as we've covered, in itself is not toxic. But quote unquote toxic people can emit masculinity. Now, considering what masculinity is, if one, let's boost this up a bit. Let's go Super Saiyan for a little bit. Let's raise our power levels for a moment. If you guys could keep up with me. Let's take masculinity and let's give it to a man to deal with. Now we're talking. Let's allow the man to be masculine, to use his energy that is masculine, his masculine energy, and to emit masculinity into this world, into a business that he starts from scratch, which remotely is impossible to make successful if you look at the stats, but somehow he figures it out anyway. If you look at the numbers, if you look at the return, if you look at everything, if you look at the contracts, the paperwork, everything that's required to start a business from scratch and to make it successful, if you look at the need for funding, if you look at the economy, the recession, if you look at everything that goes against why a business being started from scratch will become successful, there's really no reason for why any business from scratch could or should become successful. But put it in the hands of a man that knows who he is, that is ready to emit his energy, to emit masculine energy into this thing. A brand name will be born. A whole new brand name will be born. If it's another pair of shoes, we'll be seeing the name on the shoes. If it's another watch brand, we'll be seeing it on watches. If it's another plane, we'll be seeing it on planes. If it's another airline, I should say. If it's another publishing company, we'll be seeing it on books. Why? Because this man took his energy and emitted it as masculinity, because that's what it is, into that business. If that's what masculinity can produce, I'm about to go Super Saiyan. You guys ready? If that's what a man can produce using masculinity, why in the good Lord's name would he not want to make it hyper? If masculinity can produce that coming from a man, why would he not want to make it hyper? To supercharge his masculinity and then put it into the business. Supercharge his masculinity, put it into his family. Supercharge his masculinity and put it into this world. Hypermasculinity is branded as toxic. Men, brothers, fathers, sons, grandfathers. Hypermasculinity is branded as toxic so that you won't even think about reaching that level. They want to keep you where you are. When you see this Tate case, I don't care what the false allegations are. The big picture is that they want you to see it and to have a good reason to stay where you are as a man. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like it, but you will respect it. The same way you respect a tidal wave. You go hyper with your masculinity. You supercharge it, and then you put it into this world. Now I'm gonna go ultra ego. I'm gonna go ultra ego for a moment, and then I'm gonna close this. We're gonna be done. I already went Super Saiyan. I'm about blue right now. But I'm about to go ultra ego, then I'm gonna close this. This isn't ultra instinct. We don't need ultra instinct right now. We need ultra ego. We need that proactive push. Not passive. Not counteractive. We need proactive right now. We need to be throwing the first punch right now. I'm going ultra ego. You guys ready? How do you go hyper? How do you make your masculinity hyper? I'm gonna go ultra ego, then I'm gonna close the video, or we're gonna be done. The way you go hyper masculine, the way you turn your masculinity into hyper masculinity, is you follow your fathers. You follow your fathers. Whatever your father did, you may not agree with it, but he was tougher than you. So you have to respect him for being tougher than you. Some say, well, I don't respect what he did. Respect doesn't have to do with standards. Not in the way that we were taught. Respect has to do with fear. Did his masculine energy scare you when you knew you were in trouble and he was on his way home? Were you trembling or not? That's what respect is. They lied to us by telling us fear and respect are two different things. They are synonyms to the man. Because only the man, it takes a man to understand that you don't respect nobody that you don't fear. In prison, the shot caller, the most respected, is the one that's the most feared. They go together. In hell, the most respected is the most feared. It goes together. And in heaven, the most respected is the most feared. They go together. They're synonyms to the man. It's the same thing. So, you respect your father. You study your father. He was tougher than you. For that, you have to respect him. And you have to follow him. You may not like what he did. You don't have to do what he did. But you have to respect him. You have to respect what he did. You don't have to respect why he did it. You just have to respect it. And if you don't agree with your father so much, hey, that's fine. Move on to your grandfather. Here's the thing, you don't just have one grandfather, you have two. You have your grandfather on your father's side, you have your grandfather on your mother's side. Now the one on your father's side, that's the one where you're going to follow your line with, right? That's your line. But you at least have your grandfather on your mother's side to learn from also. In these days, we have rich dad, poor dad. So you got rich grandfather, poor grandfather. But by the time you get to your great-grands, you're going to learn something. All your grandfathers had it together. By the time you get to great-grands and great-great-grands, it's rich grandfather and rich grandfather. And rich grandfather and rich grandfather. So if you don't agree with your father, still respect him. Why? Because I'm going to tell you something. If you don't respect your father, there's no way in life that you're going to respect your grandfather. Why? Because your grandfather was tougher than your father. Your father's tougher than you, and your grandfather's tougher than your father. If you can master your father, you graduate to your grandfather. You get to study him and understand him. If you don't master your father, if you don't respect your father, you won't be able to understand your grandfather, and you miss out on all of this masculinity. You're literally mastering your father is literally learning how to go Super Saiyan. That's the best way I can put it. You're literally learning how to level up your power levels. What kind of power levels? Your masculine power levels. It makes you more of a man. Once you master your father, you go up to your grandfather. And guess what happens to the power levels? They don't add, they multiply. And you have two grandfathers to pick from, to learn from. Once you master your grandfathers, you can move up to your great-grands. Don't worry, I'm gonna do more on this. But right now, this is just me going ultra ego for you guys. Here's the amazing thing. If you remember Black Panther, the movie, or the comics for you guys that watch the comics, when T'Challa ate from the heart-shaped herb, he went into the ancestral plane. He went to this tree full of panthers. Who do you think those panthers were? One of the panthers jumped off the tree and turned into who? His father. So the other panthers in the tree were his other fathers. Down the line of his father. They were the panthers, the Black Panthers of the past. That's what it looks like when you study your father, when you go down the path of your father. And this is how you make your masculinity hyper. You have two grandfathers. You have 4 great-grands. You have 8 great-great-grands. And you have 16 great-great-great-great-grands. Your times 5 grandfathers, you have 36. Now, master them. Master them. Invite them into your house, into your home. And ask them questions daily. What kind of food did you eat? What kind of workouts did you do? What kind of work did you do? How did you provide for your family? What did you do when you were stressed? Were you even stressed? Or were you having the time of your life in the midst of trouble? Hypermasculinity. And don't you dare ask them if they ever experienced burnout, because they'll slap the taste out of your mouth. Burnout isn't even acceptable in your family. Why? Because you come from a line of great men. Men that weren't great back in your times 5 grandfather days. They died and they couldn't leave a legacy behind. They were killed in such a way that they couldn't leave a legacy behind. That means that if you were a farmer, you had to be great at it. Otherwise, you didn't leave a family behind. If you were a garbage man, you had to be great enough at it to where you could leave a legacy behind. Even if you were a slave, you had to be great at it. Otherwise, you couldn't leave a legacy behind. And if you were a king, you had to be great. Otherwise, you couldn't leave a legacy behind. The fact that you're breathing means that somebody in your line was great. Learn them, study them, analyze them, invite them into your home. The home of what? The home of your mind. Use it. Use your mind. All of you that's listening, use it. It's the difference between you being basic and you being great. That's how you go hyper. How do you study your fathers? It's simple. Study the timeline that your fathers were in. Study what life was like for the men in those times. And speculate. You could do this with anything. You could do it with business. You could do it with religion, spirituality. You could find out what the spiritual state was like of men in a certain range. And this is one they don't want you to understand. You could do it with culture and bloodlines. You could do it with your actual, what we call today, what we call race, with your actual ethnicity. If you have a culture, that's a great starting point. But you still gotta get the myths out of your culture, because your culture has been feminized. Every culture has been feminized. So you have to go back to how your culture used to be. You have to learn the history of why it was feminized, why it's been softened today, to really get the truth. Otherwise, you're not going to benefit from your culture. Not as a man. But if you don't have a culture, that's fine. Study the region that you were born in. Study the men of the time that you want to study. So your father's time, not so hard to study. Your grandfather's time, in the land that you were born, not so hard to study. Your great-grand, by that point you could kind of navigate if your people migrated to the land that you're in or not. And your great-great-grand, I mean, you're almost into ancient history now, almost. Your great-grand times 5, you just might be back in the times of the shields and the swords. If not then, it's definitely the colonial era, the 1800s. See, when you go great times 10, you are in the era of the shields and the swords. See, and that's hyper-masculinity that you can't even talk about. I can't even talk about it to you guys. Not on YouTube. But that's how you make your masculinity hyper. That's how you do it. You follow your fathers. Stay wise.